If you've ever interacted with a woman, you've probably asked yourself, is she flirting with me or is she just being nice? Well, today we'll cover 5 simple ways to answer that question definitively. And another thing to consider are her intentions. Because, believe it or not, many women will flirt just for fun. Sure, it typically means she's at least a little bit attracted to you, but I think that men have quite a binary view of flirting. Because if a guy is flirting, it typically means he wants to sleep with you, right here, right now. But many women don't look at it like that. She could just be trying to get to know you. She could just be trying to pass the time. She could also just want the attention that comes with flirting without actually wanting to be with you. And I know this sucks to know, but all I'm saying is that you don't want to get too invested in the situation before it develops. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been hanging out with a girl and you think that she's giving you all the signs that she's totally into you? When you lean in for the kiss, she backs away? Or maybe you ask her out and she says that she sees you as a friend. Ouch. After a reaction like that, you're embarrassed and confused as to how you could have misinterpreted what you thought were clear signals. First off, don't beat yourself up over it too much. Often, there's a very thin line that separates flirting from being friendly. And as I said, women will sometimes flirt for other reasons, with no sexual motivation behind it. It can really drive you crazy. In fact, in some dictionaries, flirting is defined as behaving as though you're attracted to someone for amusement rather than with serious intention. Yikes. Talk about mixed signals. So you can see how difficult it can be to make the distinction. But before we figure out her true intentions, let's start by determining whether she's flirting or just being friendly. I should also mention that you should keep an eye out for more than one of these signs so that you can be sure that she's actually flirting. 1. She treats you differently than other guys. This is the main thing to look for if you're unsure if she's flirting or not. Think about it. You're trying to see if the way she's treating you is unique or if she talks to everyone this way. And one woman's flirting can be way more subtle than another's, if she's shy or not confident. So, this really only goes for women who you're spending time with on a more consistent basis. So, maybe a friend who might be more than friends. You're trying to get a baseline for her normal behavior. Start by observing her around other men, especially her guy friends. If she's touchy-feely and joking around a lot and giving them the puppy dog eyes and just generally being overly playful, then that's probably just the way she is. So, if she's acting the same way around you, she's most likely just being friendly. It comes down to being present and paying attention to her and how she treats the people around her. Basically, if she treats you like everyone else, then chances are she's just a nice girl who is trying to be friendly. And, obviously, on the contrary, if she's acting differently towards you, laughing more, flipping her hair, touching you whenever she can, and she's not like that around her friends, then she's flirting. Just don't rush to conclusions until you've done your due diligence here. But one thing I have to say, because I've seen this go bad, is when you're observing her, be subtle. If she sees you watching her every move around other guys, she's not going to be flirting with you for long. So please, leave the binoculars at home. 2. She keeps instigating conversation. Another way to tell if a woman is flirting with you is if she keeps starting the conversation, or really tries to keep the conversation going. There's a big difference between answering questions and prompting questions in conversation. If a woman is just answering questions with a yes or no and not really adding anything else voluntarily, then she's most likely just being friendly or unfriendly. Conversation is a big indication into whether or not a woman is flirting. In this department, I should mention that if a woman is being overly polite and proper with you, chances are she's just being friendly. It's about the tone of her voice and her word choice, essentially. Think of it this way. It's like a spectrum. If she's being way too proper towards you and is essentially treating you like a stranger or almost like an older person in a position of authority over her, then that can be her way of keeping some distance from you. So she isn't flirting. And on the other end, if she's being way too casual and treating you like a bro, like no filter, swearing a lot, and being really juvenile, then this usually means that she sees you more like a friend and is, again, not flirting. It's that middle sweet spot that we're looking for. She wants you to know that she's relaxed and casual, but she's still actually pretty nervous around you. But more on that later. But again, it's more about the amount of conversation here. If she's sticking around and trying to keep things going, even if there's a lull or a natural endpoint, this is a really good sign. Most women don't take the time to converse and genuinely get to know men that they have no interest in. The same goes for her level of investment. If she seems to be genuinely listening to what you have to say, then this is obviously a good sign. The same goes for communicating from afar. If a woman responds to your texts or phone calls in a timely manner and with more than one word, and again, is instigating more conversation, then she could be trying to flirt with you and make a connection. 3. She seems nervous. Stress causes us to act differently than we would if we were totally relaxed. If you don't believe me, believe Joe Navarro, a nonverbal communication expert from the FBI. He says, when we're under stress, our brains require a certain amount of hand-to-body touching. He's talking about where our hands go to soothe the arousal of our limbic system. Navarro says that neck touching is one of the most significant pacifiers of stress that we use as humans. The neck is a sensitive and vulnerable area, and when we're nervous or feel threatened, then our hands will automatically gravitate there to protect it. This movement happens unconsciously. In courtship, when a woman is feeling nervous, her hands will play with her necklace or touch her neck in some way. And if she's nervous, that could mean that she likes you. But this will change as you know her more. As she becomes more comfortable with you, she will begin to tilt her head in a subconscious attempt to reveal more of her neck, which is a signal of trust. Another pacifier that women use to alleviate stress is by playing with their hair or licking their lips. Women can also do this consciously to draw your attention to those areas and send a signal of interest. This is all very biologically driven and happens at a very primal level. We're talking cavemen and cavewomen here. But again, it depends on context. Does she just have social anxiety? Is she worried about something else? These are things that you'll need to figure out. And also, there's a difference between a woman feeling nervous because she's interested and one who feels nervous because she's scared of you. Hopefully you can tell the difference of how she's treating you and the look in her eyes. Number 4, she makes excuses to touch you. The fourth and final way to tell if a woman is flirting with you is if she's constantly making excuses to touch you. If you've watched any of my other videos on body language and seduction, you'll know that I advocate for men to touch women in non-sexual ways to help increase her attraction for you. Well, women will do the same. Does the girl that you're chatting with brush something off of your shoulder or your arm or your hair? She could be making an excuse to touch you. Typical body parts that a woman will touch on a man that she is trying to flirt with include the face, arms, leg, or back. If you're sitting next to her, she could lean over and place her hand on your knee to get your attention. Like, oh my God, you won't believe what happened to me today. She's pretending she's getting excited to tell you something. You're pretending you don't notice, but you're both thinking more about how she's touching your leg rather than anything else. The same can go with a little flirty roughhousing. Does she do a little punch in your arm or a little shove? Just make sure that you can tell the difference between playfulness and aggression. Another nonverbal technique that is widely used amongst women is for women to caress objects around them. So if a woman is holding a glass of wine while talking to you and caressing it, she could be trying to flirt nonverbally. Or if she's playing with her straw in her drink, that is yet another way for her to capture your attention through movement. Again, this is just learning to read body language. And more specifically, how a woman's body subconsciously responds to her environment and certain interactions. Number 5, the conditions are perfect. There are a few other things to consider here that can be easily missed. Basically, how she treats you is going to be complicated by the situation you're in together. I'd say the most clear-cut scenario is that you're at a bar, she comes up to you out of the blue, and you start a conversation. Another good situation is that she's a friend of a friend that you're meeting at a party, or you run into one another on the street. But it's often going to be a lot more complicated than that. Maybe there's a power imbalance, like she's your server at a restaurant, your employee, or a lot younger than you. In these cases, you need to lower your expectations. She has a reason to treat you differently because of the dynamic at play, so it's going to be much more difficult to determine her actual intentions. Then, there's a situation where she wants something from you, like maybe a tip, or she's trying to get a signature on a petition, or money for charity, or really anything. This seems obvious, but sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in a pretty flirty girl and lose your sense of perspective. Another factor is if she has a boyfriend. Weirdly, women who are taken may be more likely to flirt just for fun, without meaning anything of it. In this situation, they see the relationship status as a sort of shield from unwanted attention so that they're more willing to push the boundaries. Obviously, men don't look at it the same way. And of course, if she's telling you that she has a partner, then that's a great sign that she's not interested. Those are 5 ways that you can tell if a woman is flirting with you rather than just being friendly. And remember to look for more than one of these examples before you make your move. And go out there and flirt with confidence, because you never know. A woman might just need you to make the first flirtatious move in order for her to feel comfortable enough to flirt back. And again, Make sure to feel it out as it develops. Just because she's flirting doesn't necessarily mean that you've sealed the deal yet, but it's a great sign. That's all I have for you today, YouTube. I'm Daisy Hall. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel where you can stay up to date with my latest videos. And, as always, thank you for your constant support. I'll see you in my next video.